let's start with the next topic. That is about, we are going to talk about the waste management. MCQ number 1. How many types of waste do we know? Waste can be of broadly two categories. Waste can be solid waste or waste can be a liquid waste. I hope you remember from our lectures on waste management and biomedical waste management, I told you that waste could be of many types. We can have a municipal corporation waste, or we can have a biomedical waste, or a hospital waste. So we can have a hospital waste. This hospital waste could be biomedical waste. It could be other types of waste. So right now what we are discussing is this municipal waste management. Municipal waste can be of broadly two categories, solid waste and liquid waste. Solid waste could be garbage. Solid waste could be rubbish. Or solid waste could be ash. Liquid waste could be of further two types. We can have a sullage or we can have a sewage. MCQ number 1. If you talk about garbage, garbage is nothing but a kitchen waste. Kitchen waste. It is organic waste. Rubbish is non-organic waste, also called as household waste. Ash is nothing but a powder waste. Sullage. Sullage is a liquid waste which does not contain any fecal matter. It is liquid waste without fecal matter. And what is sewage? Sewage is nothing but fecal matter waste. Liquid waste containing fecal matter. Sewage is also known as MCQ black water. Sullage is known as grey water. Sullage is also called as a bathroom waste or a kitchen waste. Garbage is a kitchen waste or a organic waste. It is a solid waste. Rubbish is household waste, and sewage is a black water, that is a fecal waste. Let us see how to dispose of waste. So I'll talk about sewage as a special category, but right now I'm talking of the general household waste or the organic waste. So the general household waste or the organic waste can be disposed of by various methods. Solid waste disposal methods. We can have dumping, control tipping, incineration, composting, manure pits or burials. Let us see each one of them. Dumping is the most insanitary and inhuman approach for waste disposal. Control tipping is the method of choice. It is possible, it is a suitable method. If land is available, if extra land is available, if it is available, we can do control tipping. It is a suitable method. MCQs on control tipping. If you talk about control tipping, what do you mean by control tipping? Control tipping means you take an area, you dig up the earth from it, and in this you put up a lot of refuse and what all things, and then again you seal it with earth. This is known as control tipping. It is a very good method. Control tipping can be of three categories. We can have a trench method. Trench method. What do you mean by trench method? The depth of this is, 2 to 3 meters and the length will be around 4 to 12 meters. This type of trench is good for 10,000 population and it requires 1 acre area. Area of 1 acre, 10,000 population, we can use a trench method. Another method of control tipping is ramp method. Ramp method is only possible in hilly terrains. So on a hilly terrain, they will fill up some area and they will fill up it with earth. This is a ramp method. Next is third is area method. The area method is nothing, it's just a fancy name given to, there are areas in rural areas, you already know that there are already natural depressions in earth. So example, unused quarries are there, or some ponds is there which are dried up. It's just a earth depression which is there. So in case there is depression, you just put your refuse into it, and once we put the refuse into it, you add soil over it. In an area method, you add soil. How much soil? You add 12 inch of soil every time. Every time. So you keep on adding to it. Extra soil is given. But the point to be noted is that this 12 inch of soil should be added every time. So from where are you getting this soil? You need to dig somewhere else. That's the main problem. Because you are digging somewhere else, then there is a problem. Then you need to dig somewhere else. Are you getting it? So area method is not a very, very good method. But yes, ramp method can be used. And of course, trench method can be used. MCQ which was already asked, that for trench method, MCQ which was already asked, that for trench method, how much population, how much area is required? 1 acre for 10,000, roughly for 10,000 population is good enough. Other method could be incineration. Incineration is burning of the waste under very high temperature. If you burn under very high temperature, usually more than 1200 or 1000 degrees Celsius. So if it is 1200, 1000 degrees Celsius, you are burning, there has to be some refuse, that is ash. So you are actually nothing doing, you are wasting the refuse and you are building ash. Now this ash has to be disposed of properly. So what I want you to understand is that incineration, it's a very good process. But for general municipal waste, incinerating all the municipal waste is generally not possible. Generally not possible. But yes, it converts everything, it just burns everything. Next is, what is this composting? One of the good methods is control tipping, and one of the good methods which is currently used in our country is composting and control tipping. And that's the reason you get a lot of questions on this. A few questions on what is composting. Composting is making a compost. What is a compost? It is nothing but a manure-like thing. So how will we make a compost? What we can do is, composting is always, it's not without that, composting is always combined refuse or rubbish or garbage plus the sludge or the night soil. Fecal matter is like also called as night soil. Excreta. So excreta or the sludge plus the refuse, you combine them, you let it stay over there in some place, it will form a manure-like substance called as humus. Making of humus is what is known as composting. One of the way of composting we can do is Bangalore method. What is a Bangalore method? Bangalore method is a good method in which a trench is made. So in a trench, they will build a trench like this, and there it goes, and then this. So the trench will have it some of the width, will have some of the depth, and will have some of the length. Simple as that. So the width and the depth and the length, if you talk about the depth, it is usually 3 feet into width into 4 to 6 feet into length, which is 15 to 30 feet. 3, 5, 15. That's how I have remembered. 3, 5, 15. That's how I have remembered. Anyways, the technical is 3 feet into 4 to 6 feet into 15 to 30 feet length. So in this trench, what you can do is, in the trench, what you can do is, you can add a layer of refuse. So you add a layer of refuse. Over the refuse, you add a night soil. After that, you again add refuse. Then again you add night soil. Then again you add refuse. So this layering process, MCQ, layering process will cause what? Refuse or rubbish in between sewage. So rubbish will block the sewage. There will be what? MCQ, anaerobic digestion of the night soil. And this anaerobic digestion of the night soil and layering process will lead to this humus formation or the manure formation. It is a very good process. Normally it takes 4 to 6 months for a refuse and the humus to be formed in a Bangalore method. The refuse and the night soil should be in ratio of the refuse should be 6 inches and the night soil is only 2 inches. So it is in the ratio of 1:3. So 1 portion of night soil and 3 portions of refuse, 1 portion night soil, 3 portion refuse. That's how this Bangalore method goes. In this Bangalore method, next MCQ, there will be production of the heat. The heat production is in tune of over 60 degrees Celsius over next few days. Over days, there is production of 60 degrees heat temperature. So whatever I have written on this screen is direct MCQs, layering process, anaerobic digestion, 1:3 ratio, 4 to 6 months, and production of temperature rate of 60 degrees. This whole thing is known as composting method. Next is, what are manure pits? Manure pits are nothing very special. These are simple pits which are there in rural areas. So there are 2 pits. 2 pits are there. In that we will put the refuse, and the refuse is kept over there, and then we cover it and we put the refuse in the next pit till the time this first is covered. Once this is done, once this 4 to 6 months are there, then you open this pit, take out the manure, and you start closing this pit. Are you getting it? So you play on between 2 pits. These are known as manure pits. Next is burial method. If you talk about burial method, in the burial method, it's a burial method, right? You put some things into it. So if you take a pit and you make the size, the width is 1.5 meters, the depth is 2 meters, and some length. So this pit type of thing, this is the width, this is the depth, and this is the length. So you take the width, the depth, and the length, and you dig a pit and you just bury it. So that is a burial method. MCQ could be asked, what is the length? If the length is kept at 1 meter, this burial pit, this burial will be very good method for 200 persons for 7 days. So burial is for 200 persons 7 days. Manure pit is just 2 pits we make. Composting we already have talked, it is Bangalore method. Control tipping is a very suitable method for waste disposal. In many advanced rural areas, high-tech rural areas, so now there is a phenomena of mechanical composting. You must have already seen that in some rural areas, people are selling manure. So how do they make it? What they do is they take all the refuse from the area, and they take all the refuse, they collect the refuse and pulverize it. Pulverization means shredding. Pulverization means mutilation. Pulverization means cutting into small pieces. Once you pulverize that, you mix it. You mix it with a compost from previous area, or with the night soils or excreta, and you make compost. You make compost. That is why this technique is known as a mechanical composting. This making compost is done under strict pH control, moisture levels, temperature levels. So this is what is mechanical composting. So the next topic that we'll take up is liquid waste. Liquid waste is of 2 types we already have discussed. It could be sewage or it could be sullage. Sullage or the grey water or the kitchen water. Sewage is what is the fecal matter. Fecal matter. Usually approximately how much fecal matter is excreted per day? Anything between 100 to 140 grams per day is what is the fecal matter excretion for an Indian diet. If we talk about the strength of sewage, the strength of sewage can be assessed how strong the sewage is in 2 or 3 categories. We can assess the biological oxygen demand, or we can assess the chemical oxygen demand, or we can assess the suspended solid load in the fecal matter. The biological oxygen demand is the amount of oxygen required by the excreta. Amount of oxygen required by the excreta, usually in a specified time, usually in 5 days, at a specified temperature, at temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, for aerobic digestion. So BOD, or the biological oxygen demand, if you look, the BOD or the biological oxygen demand, the amount of oxygen, if it is less than 100 mg per liter, or if it is more than 300 mg per liter. If it is less than 100 mg, it is known as a weak sewage. If it is more than 300 milligrams per liter, that is known as a strong sewage. And anything between 100 to 300 is known as a moderate sewage. So weak sewage less than 100, strong sewage is more than 100. Next is, what is chemical oxygen demand? Chemical oxygen demand is amount of chemical required for chemical detoxification of the sewage. The usual chemical that we use is, it's a pure oxidizing agent. Pure oxidizing agent used by the excreta for having aerobic digestion or oxidizing digestion, that is known as chemical oxygen demand. It is usually taken for excreta. Matter with chemical toxins. That is known as a chemical oxygen demand. Next is the suspended solids. The suspended solids in the sewage normally present are 100 to 500 milligrams per liter. This is corresponding to the parts per million, no difference in that. So anything which is less than 100, that is known as a weak sewage. Anything which contains more than 500 suspended solids, more than 500 mg per liter suspended solids, that is known as a strong sewage. So that's how we assess for the strength of the sewage. So once you know that how strong the sewage is, we may need of disinfection of the sewage. The disinfection of the sewage could be broadly classified into unsewered area or a sewered area. So where there is no sewerage system or where there is sewerage system. In case there is no sewerage system, excreta disposal methods for no sewerage system. If there is no sewer system, we can have broadly 2 types of categories: service type or non-service type. Service type means the night soil is collected by humans and it is disposed of by humans only. So night soil is collected by humans and it is disposed of by composting or by burying or burial pits or things like this. That is known as a service type, almost a rarity in India now. Now in India, long time back, people used to have buckets. So in buckets, they used to carry the night soil. It used to be a daily process, and that night soil should have been put up in a safe disposal method. Not a safe, like presumed to be safe disposal method. Normally what we have is non-service type. Non-service means you don't need humans to take up the fecal matter or the excreta every day. The non-service type can be of many types, and this is a 5-star question topic for you. We can have boreholes or dug well or sanitary latrines or septic tanks or aqua privi. The boreholes are old method, they are no more used. Bore method is a simple method in which there used to be a well, there used to be a hole which is with a bore, and the bore size is important. That is what is important for us. The bore size is important. The size of this used to be 12 inches and the height of this is roughly around 4 to 8 meters, which is corresponding to 20 feet. So this is nothing but a elongated kind of a hole. So this is 20 feet or 4 to 8 meters and the size is around 12 inches, 12 to 16 inches. MCQ over here, it is applicable or it is valid for how much people? It is valid for 5 to 6 persons per year. So every year you need to make a borehole and then people will do excreta in that, and next year you change the borehole. It is no more used. Why? Because you have a better version of it that is known as a dug well. It is dug well. A dug well is nothing but a bigger borehole, which is a more wider borehole. The wider borehole is having a bigger size in terms of the width. The size is what you need to remember. The width is anything around 30 inches. The height is shorter. It is around 10 to 12 feet. Earlier was 20 feet. So this is only 10 to 12 feet, which comes out to be 3 to 4 meters, which comes out to be nearly 3 to 4 meters, 10, 12 feet and 30 inch. So remember, borehole was 12 inch and 20 feet, and dug well, these are 30 inches. These are 30 inches with 10 to 12 feet. So dug wells are what are commonly used. Dug wells are better for people around 5 to 6 persons, and each dug well will be valid for 5 years. So dug well is of course more beneficial for people to use. Dug well is also called as, we don't call it as a dug well actually. Dug wells are called as pit latrines. So these are what are pit latrines. The point is that pit latrines are used in many areas, especially in the Western world. The pit latrines are used, but in pit latrines the disadvantage is that you should not throw anything else except from the excreta matter. If in case there are toxins or things like this or pesticides or chemicals which are thrown, then this pit latrine will not function to the optimum capacity. Next is, what are sanitary latrines? What are sanitary latrines? Sanitary latrines means nothing but they have a provision of water seal. So if they ask you, anybody asks you MCQ, what is a sanitary latrine? It means a water seal. Or if the latrine has a water seal, what does it mean? It means it's a sanitary latrine. So a lot of sanitary latrines are available in India. We have PRAI latrine, RCA latrine, Sulabh Shauchalaya. What is PRAI? It is Planning, Research and Action Institute. RCA is Research cum Planning cum Action Project. So there are RCA, PRAI or Sulabh Shauchalaya latrines. They are almost essentially the same. The feature of this is that there is a squatting plate. The dimension of this plate should be 3 square feet. 3 square feet. So that means there is a squatting plate with a dimension of 3 square feet. Then there should be a trap. What do you mean by trap? Trap means if the pit latrine is like this, there is a phenomenon of trap. In this trap, there is always a level of water which is maintained. The trap will contain water, and the point about water is that this will not let any bad odor come outside. It will not let any insect go inside. and nothing will go inside, nothing will come outside, only the excreta can go. So this trap is a very good thing. This trap should be having a water level of, trap should have a water level of 2.5 centimeters. Anything more than 2, usually 2.5 centimeters is the standard size. Then there should be a pipe which is connecting to the main sewer. Then there should be a pipe which is connecting to the main sewer. The pipe should be 3 inch into 3 feet. And once in the main sewer, they should enter into the dug well or the main sewer. This is what is a sanitary latrine. So presence of water level is what is a sanitary latrine. So you take the pipe and it goes into the dug well. So this is what is a sanitary latrine. Presence of water level makes it sanitary. The next we are going to take up is a septic tank. So what is a septic tank? Septic tank is a tank with a minimum capacity of more than 500 gallons. So what happens in septic tank is, this is the inlet. On this side there is inlet. It goes inside. The fecal matter comes inside and the hard fecal matter will drop down and the water type of supernatant fluid will hang around in the water. So there is lot of fecal matter. And it will stay inside. So what happens is that this is the exit. This is the out portion of the septic tank. So the fecal matter will stay down at the lower level and the supernatant fluid will be there. And the supernatant fluid will come out of the outer exit and this is treated later. So in this septic tank with lot of bacilli inside, there is anaerobic digestion of the night soil. Because this stays inside the septic tank, the fecal matter stays inside the septic tank, there is anaerobic digestion. Remember this, there is anaerobic digestion inside the septic tank. Whatever supernatant fluid has gone out, there are chances that may also be infected. Now that fluid, whatever liquid was there, it goes outside on the soil, on the drain and things like this, and there is aerobic digestion outside the septic tank. So outside septic tank there is aerobic digestion, inside septic tank there is anaerobic digestion, and this process of treatment of sewage or disposal of sewage is known as a septic tank. A few questions on septic tank. Septic tank, if you see, it will have some of its width and the height and the length and the depth. Usual depth that is kept for the septic tank is 5 to 7 feet. The length of the septic tank is 2 times of the width. Next MCQ. If you talk about septic tank, second question, if you talk about septic tank, there is both type of digestion, anaerobic digestion plus aerobic digestion. Anaerobic digestion will be within the septic tank and aerobic digestion happens outside the septic tank. Outside the septic tank. In case there is a new septic tank, do you know that for a new septic tank to function, it should have appropriate number of bacterial colonies into it. So what is done is, this type of sludge is taken from a different functioning septic tank. It is borrowed and given to this septic tank. So for a new septic tank, we need seeders. What is a seeder? Seeder is sludge from another functioning septic tank. So seeder is another sludge from another functioning septic tank, and septic tanks are very, very common in almost all parts of the rural India. Next is, what is aqua privy? Aqua privy is nothing but like a septic tank. In this aqua privy, there is closed, like on the top there are maybe there could be a manhole over here, and in this aqua privy there is water. So a person will send the excreta. There is a squatting plate here only. A person will do the excreta, and this excreta using a tube will directly fall into the water, and in the water it will come and stay here. So there is, again, this is known as aqua privy. The only thing about aqua privy that you need to know is that there is complete water in the aqua privy, and there is same answer, anaerobic digestion of the fecal matter. Anaerobic digestion of the fecal matter is aqua privy. There is a chimney kind of thing also. This exhaust is basically to let the foul air go outside, and it's the same answer, same point. You need to keep a distance of 1 to 1.5 meters away from the surface. Similarly, in septic tank also we had to keep a 1 to 1.5 meter of distance from the surface of the septic tank. So the surface of the water to the surface of the septic tank should be 1 to 1.5. Same answer is for aqua privy, where the surface should be away from 1.5 meters away from the surface. So now we come to your favorite topic, that is about sewage disposal. So how to have sewage disposal with sewer facility, and a lot of questions come on this, that is about the sewage treatment plant. So I don't know, during your MBBS curriculum, did you go to your for a visit to the sewage treatment plant? Many medical colleges, they happen to take the students for a sewage treatment plant visit. But anyways, if you have gone, very nice. Otherwise, let's go and see what is a sewage treatment plant. Other methods where the sewer facility is available. Other methods could be, we can use a sea outfall or river outfall, land treatment, oxidation pond, oxidation ditch. So let us talk about what is a sewage treatment plant, STP. In sewage treatment plant, there are people will give the sewage. The first level of treatment is it's a screening process. This screen is known as a screen. It is going to screen off any metallic things, any bottles, or any unwanted big objects. After screening, it goes into chamber number 1. In chamber number 1, there are solid particles which is going to settle down. Second is, this will go to a main chamber, that is a primary sedimentation tank. It goes into the primary sedimentation tank. After primary sedimentation tank, it goes to the secondary sedimentation tank. It goes to the secondary sedimentation tank. Secondary sedimentation tank. From the secondary sedimentation tank, it will go to secondary treatment. So what is all this? What is chamber number 1? What is chamber number 2? What is 3? And what is the secondary treatments? So what happens in a sewage treatment plant is, at the first level there is screening. Screening means to pull out any metallic things, any objects out of the fecal matter. In the first chamber, it is known as MCQ grit chamber. It is known as MCQ grit chamber. In the grit chamber, there are solid particles which are taken care. The solid particles are going to settle down. What is this second chamber? Second chamber is called as the primary sedimentation tank. So in the primary sedimentation tank, the first level, the sewage is going to stay for 6 to 8 hours, and there is 30 to 40% reduction in the coliforms. This whole thing till now is known as a primary treatment. So primary treatment, please mind the words that I am saying. Primary treatment of sewage consists of the screen plus the grit chamber plus the primary sedimentation tank. Please mark these MCQs. So primary sedimentation tank, you make the water, you make the feces stay there for 6 to 8 hours. There is anaerobic digestion and there is 30-40% coliform reduction. So after primary treatment, we take it to the secondary treatment. And secondary treatment can be of two types. We can use either trickling filters, or we can use activated sludge process. So in this activated sludge process, what happens is, just look at the screen. There is primary treatment. Now this primary treatment will give the fecal matter into the aeration room. In this aeration room, there is bars like this. So the fecal matter will start here, it will go here, it will come here, like this it will go. So there is oxygenation in this particular zone. There is aeration. Aeration will happen for 6 to 8 hours. So what are we scared of in a sewage? We are actually scared of the anaerobic bacteria. So if you are scared of the anaerobic bacteria, how to kill an anaerobic bacteria? You oxygenate it. Aeration will happen for how much time? For 6 to 8 hours. Then you send this for, this is known as aeration chamber, or this is known as a aeration tank. So once the fecal matter comes out of this aeration tank, now you send it for secondary sedimentation tank. In the secondary sedimentation tank, the fecal matter is going to stay, and the solid material will come down and the supernatant will go there, and this is sent for final disposal. So if you talk about this, the activated sludge, this material which is left out, this material which is there at the bottom of the secondary sedimentation tank, this material, if you take, this is nothing but a activated sludge. You take this and you again put into with the primary treatment sewage. So what I mean to say is, in very simple process, you have two tanks, primary sedimentation, secondary sedimentation. In the secondary sedimentation tank, there is sludge formation, and the sludge is taken back, and with the primary it starts its action again, right? It gives better efficiency of the sewage treatment plant. What is the main core functioning area of the sewage treatment plant? The main core functioning of the sewage treatment plant is the aeration tank. What is the main functioning part? It is the activated sludge from the aeration tank, which is the most important. So activated sludge and aeration tank, they form the heart of the sewage treatment plant. Activated sludge and sludge, also called as aeration sludge, and the aeration tank, they form the heart of the sewage treatment plant. They are the main core area of the sewage treatment plant. So please try to understand that for sewage treatment, we have screening, then we have grit, then we have primary sedimentation tank, then we need to do some secondary treatment. We can either use trickling filters, or we can use aeration tank, and then we send this again for secondary sedimentation system, Then we send the fecal matter for the secondary sedimentation. MCQs on what is a trickling filter. Have you ever seen a garden sprinkler? The garden sprinkler. So the garden sprinkler is going to rotate and it will throw a lot of water everywhere. So in the same manner, we have small sprinklers. In the small sprinklers, instead of water, the excreta matter or the supernatant liquid will be thrown away. So in this, there is a sand bed. and the water will percolate through this sand bed. This phenomena is known as trickling filter. This is a natural, it includes a natural phenomena also. Why? Because simple thing that in between there is evidence of air. So air actually treats the sewage when it passes through the trickling filter. This is the principle for trickling filter. So direct questions on sedimentation tank or on sewage treatment plant. Please remember there are two chambers, primary chamber, secondary chamber. So sewage from the primary chamber goes to the secondary, and the sludge from the secondary comes to the primary. Again it gets treated, again goes there, again it gets to treat it again. Sludge is taken to the primary chamber. So it moves on in actual circles. And then it gives out liquid waste, which is given for agriculture, for irrigation, and we have manure generation, which is again given for agriculture. So there is no waste out of the waste. This is the beauty of the sewage treatment plant. So the next is other methods. Other methods of sewage disposal could be oxidation ditch, or we can have a aerated lagoon, or we can have oxidation pond, or we can have a river fallout or a sea fallout. So river fallout or sea fallout means you take the excreta and you dump it in the sea or in the river. Of course, that's a very insanitary method. Oxidation pond or oxidation ditch. Oxidation ditch will require 1 acre land. Aerated lagoon is 2.5 acre land. Oxidation pond is 22 acre land. So oxidation ponds are usually 22 acre is required for 100,000 population. For 1 lakh population, 22 acre is required, which is not a very available area in many cities. So what people do is they use sewage treatment plant. But of course, oxidation pond, aerated ditch, aerated lagoon and river fallouts or sea fallouts can be used as a method. Oxidation pond is quite common in the rural areas. Oxidation pond is quite common in the rural areas. The functioning modality of oxidation pond is it requires three things. It requires sunlight, it requires air, bacteria, and it requires algae. So oxidation is there, pond is there. So under the action of sunlight, bacteria, algae and air, basically this oxidation pond is going to treat the sewage. This oxidation pond is 3 to 5 feet deep and it is spread over very large area, small area, aerated lagoon, very small area, we call it as a oxidation ditch. And in this, again, under the action of sunlight and under the action of bacteria and algae, the sewage is actually treated. But these are not very commonly used procedure. The commonly used thing is sewage treatment plant. So with that, we finish off almost all the questions which may be required for waste and waste disposal methods.
Hi guys, please subscribe my channels.